I hope you're having an awesome day. I sure am. Thanks for joining us. Before we get started, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. And remember to hit the bell for notifications. See you soon. Bye.
There's a sunrise again over the mountains here. Some people we know there. They got the Volkswagen on top there. It's actually got a little bed and a kind of like a skylight for the front. That's Travis and Stephanie. That's the sun again. There's just the mountains. There's our rig set up. There's some guys out having fun this morning. There's 3 of them. Actually, that one up there is a pontoon one, so he can land on the water. Huh. Another one there. And this guy is like way over there. He's going for the sunshine. Get this other one here real quick. He's not a pontooner, I don't think, but those were some pretty nice ones, so they're just out having a good time. I'm gonna go drink my coffee.
This works. You just gotta hold, when you're doing this, you just gotta hold this down.
Okay.
Our wonderful friend Travis from homeschooling came over to help Alan with the front shock. Because Alan's hands don't fit up in
What
there.
I need is a reducer from the...
From the what?
There it is. Oh no, mine goes... At least you looked at it. See, I always get into things when I start taking it apart first, and then I'll come back and be like, oh man, I shouldn't have done that.
So I got the grinder, and you could see how it missed, because this is supposed to be right in the center.
Yeah.
So, but
Maybe that was the problem to begin with when they installed it incorrectly.
We got the other side done. What we're doing is changing our front shocks because we're getting cupping on the tires. And they say that's from the shocks, and I checked it out, and it is bad shocks make it go up and down. This is the one from the other side, and it's almost impossible to get up to the top nut. It's so tight clearance, I don't know how they even freaking do it. So what I did is I took my grinder, the 4-inch grinder with the cutting blade, and I got up in there and I actually cut it off. So you can see where I cut it. And then it just comes off because this just comes right out. And then you can continue on, because otherwise, turning this, you have to get like a ratcheting socket up there, and you can do barely an 1/8 inch every time. So you'd be turning for 30-40 minutes. And if you had just a regular wrench on this nut with the regular wrench, you'd have to put it on there, turn it at 8, lift it off, put it back on, turn it at 8, lift it off, turn it at 8. And a lot of these aren't too rusty, but some of them are solid rust. And so you'd be under there for an hour and a half. And so cutting them off takes you about less than 5 minutes to cut it, get it out of there, and go from there. So I got one side done. Gonna do this side today. So that's my project. We'll get her done, because these are the new shocks, so they'll go in and tighten that up, and we'll have brand new shocks on both sides. This is the shock right here that we're replacing. So this side you got a lot more room. The other side you couldn't even put your fingers in. up top here, but I can feel the top bolt. But instead of trying to get it off, I just go right in here with that saw. I just cut it off, and that way this whole thing would just come out. You don't have to try to fight that. Well, like I say, the driver's side, as far as room, it was about this much room, and you couldn't even fit your fingers in there. But this side, there's a lot of room in the back. I can reach around, but still I'm just gonna cut that off, get it off there real quick, and we'll put the new one in. Here's what the new one looks like, which goes up. Got the bolts on top. So like I say, I just ended up taking my saw and cutting that off. That way I didn't have to deal with trying to get wrenches up in there and it just come off. Well, coming off too, if you look at this side, it's been damaged. So that could have been some of my problem right there. And was that done way long time ago at the factory, or who knows? But yeah, just noticing that on this one, and on the other one the rubbers were bad. So haven't checked the rubbers on this side, but yeah, so this one was dinged up to begin with, so I don't know if that affects the shock or not, but we'll get the new one on there. On these rubbers, these things actually go kind of like that, just like that, and you got this little titty on this rubber that goes up inside the metal. And you look at this one, and then look at this one that I took off. See, this part goes up in the metal, which rides in the metal, and this thing went way off center. So, you know, is that some of the problem, or is that just over time it happens? But you know, we're only at 70,000 miles, so it shouldn't have did that. But yeah, that's how it. And you look at how it's collapsed too. So we'll get the new one on there and see how it works. Well, we got the whole thing jacked up. We never hooked up our sensors to our water tank to where we could tell whether we was full or empty up above. So I took the front off of that, hooked up the sensors, and that's down on our big tank. And then while we was up, I knew I could lift the tank a little bit more, but you can see under there I'm lifting it about 3 more inches up. So I got to take all the bolts off, run the bolts up, lift it up, and put them all back on. So we're doing that while everything's up and while the sun's shining and hotter than crap. So, and the air conditioner's running inside, so go inside and take a break if you have to. So there's the passenger side shock in now. I put in these Monroe Magnums. They're for like heavy duty RVs, bigger trucks, all that. So this one was a lot easier getting in because right here, you know, I can fit my whole hand over in there. And on the other side, it was this big and you could barely fit your finger in, so you had to crawl down underneath and try to do it that route. So this one was a lot easier. And I've been doing stuff underneath, halfway done with that, with the water tank. And then I'll come and release my jack. And when you do these, so I've got that supported, the wheel supported. And then you actually need to jack your body all the way up to where this will go on the bottom bolt. Otherwise the shock absorber is too long and it won't go on the bottom bolt. So you need to jack your whole frame up. That's what that jack's doing. So it lifts your frame from this. This drops down with the springs, which then lowers it, and the shock just slides right on the bolt. Then you just bolt it up. And like I say, on the old shocks, what I did was come right in here and just cut this off with the cutting saw. My grinder with the cutting blade on it. And it made it a lot easier. You just got to be careful you can't nick your spring or something over here, because then you'd really be in trouble. But that way you don't have to get back up in there, loosen that nut or nothing, because you can only go about an eighth a turn and it takes a long time. So with a little cutting blade, it just cuts this right off. This just falls down, you hit the bolt comes out the top. So it's a lot easier. Well, time's getting short on the shocks. Gotta get back underneath, so like I say, time's getting short. Better go. We'll catch you on the next one. Bye.
Thanks again for watching. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And remember to hit the bell for notifications.